Gentlemen, let's move over and now talk about the campaign mode now, and I'll come to you, Honorable Jared Okello. We see the president back on campaign mode. In fact, listen to what the president had to say.
Hawa watu ya makelele hii wanasumbua, wanapiga makelele sijui mitandao wapi. Hawa watu wako na kazi ngumu sana. Kushindana na mimi, hawa wako na kazi ngumu. Si mambo yao ni kuchora tu kwa internet na kuzunguka na fitina. Hawa watu tawanyorosha asubuhi na mapema.
Honorable Okello, is there a winning formula in the 2027? Should we even be talking about this at this particular point?
Can we put that into context? Can we put that into context? Because I want us to put this thing into context.
All right. Let me say this. The president is actually addressing the same Gen Zs because they are the people who are, keyboard warriors. Mm-hmm. You don't really expect my mother, who is now 75 years, using her phone to tweet or to write anything on Facebook and stuff. No. He's actually addressing the young people. And what the president is alluding to is that, that agitation by young people may actually lead into a candidate that they will rally behind. That is exactly what the president is saying. And he's equally saying that if they will get to that stage where they're using social media as the platform for their campaigns, then he will defeat them early morning because there are no votes in social media. There is no polling station called X or Facebook. So basically that is what he's saying. He's saying you have to leave your comfort zone. Go and meet with the electorate. Sell your agenda as he is doing so that you can now galvanize the entire country and rally them behind you. That is basically what the president is saying. Remember, President Ruto is a beneficiary of a 5-year non-stop campaign. Immediately they got into office in 2013. The man started moving across the country, launching what had been launched, launching a new, talking about politics.
5 or 10 years campaign.
Actually 10, yeah, 10, because the first 5, he was campaigning for President Uhuru to be re-elected. Then the 5 was actually his own. So 10 years on sunroof vehicle, mounting himself, selling his agenda, and that is how he won. So engineers would tell you...
I thought you guys said he didn't win as ODM.
Well, now we are now.
Why can't you allow Honorable Jared to just prosecute his case?
We are into now. Okay? We spoke, the Supreme Court had their own, and now the Supreme Court is being subjected to petitions, which I like, okay? But he's a beneficiary of that consistent campaigns. Yeah. And, engineers will tell you, when it works, don't fix it. So it worked for him then. He can't fix it now. That is the only style that he understands. Now, whether he will, concoct a winning formula for 2027 is another ballgame. But remember, when he was angling to become a candidate, he made frantic efforts in Mount Kenya because of that, vote basket. And he got it. So now you can see he's targeting his guns at Western Kenya and Nyanza. Whether that is going to yield any meaningful fruits, time will tell. But let me tell you, Prime Minister Raila Odinga was a candidate.
Prime Minister.
Well, there is no current. Yeah. In fact, in America, they just call President Obama. It is only in Kenya and Africa where they will want to tell you, no, you are former. So the Prime Minister was a candidate in 97. He emerged number 3. Thereafter, he has either been a kingmaker, which he did in 2002, or a formidable candidate, for decades on end. And therefore, it will be foolhardy to believe that whether he's in Kenya or in Addis, that he will play no cardinal role in whoever becomes the president, or even run himself as a candidate. I don't know. We still have 2.5 years. He may as well say, let's rally behind President William Ruto. And remember, elections are actually next month in Addis. out of 50 million of us, there's only one person with a vote that will help Baba. And that is only William Samoei Ruto. And Baba knows as much. So I do not think that if Baba so chooses to hold on to his job at AUC, he will not pay back William for what he has done to him. I would doubt that. But, you know, politics is quite fluid. Anything can change at whatever time. Yeah. But also remember that the only candidate that may run against him would be Rigathi. The argument would be that when you are impeached, you cannot run for any political or appointive office for 10 years. But remember, there is the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise by a court of law.
Yeah.
Rigathi would do as much as he can to delay this court process as much as possible. Because once you've not exhausted all the appellate channels and you have a pending court matter, no one stops you from running. That is why today there will be a decision being made whether the composition of that panel, the empaneling of judges, the 3 judges led by Ogola, was actually in tandem with the laws. Yeah. Because he claims that they had already expressed some biases. So that is, we have not even gotten to the substantive matter. Yeah. We are still on peripheral, you know, objections here and there. What he's trying to do, and you know, he benefits from very good legal advice. Drag this case, because by the time they will be coming now to discuss the substantive matter, it will be end of this year. Then a decision will be made by High Court that he actually lost fairly in the impeachment process. Then he will move to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal will take another 1 year. A decision will still be made that there was no error by Parliament to impeach him. Then he will move to the Supreme Court. And when you see the Supreme Court judges being exposed to a petition by none other than the former LSK president, is not an idle endeavor. Because the Supreme Court, as is currently constituted, if all the allegations that have been leveled against them on corruption is anything to go by, then they may actually clear Rigathi and say, Parliament add, the Court of Appeal add, High Court add, and therefore he ought to have been legally in office. That then gives him a leverage to run. So he may be a candidate. I'm not saying he will, but he may be. And remember, immediately after the impeachment, Kalonzo Musyoka started making forays in central Kenya as the alternative candidate. That has since stopped, because Rigathi has seen that he could actually run, and therefore we don't need Kalonzo. That is why now Kalonzo is talking to himself in press conferences in his home, not even in the field, in his home. So things are going to change, but...
ideally, it's supposed to be the same coalition. It's supposed to be Azimio. So when you say...
It should be Azimio, but you know, he has...
No, Azimio bolted long time ago.
He has held a series of press conferences. We are never invited. We only see him on TV alone, and sometimes with Jeremiah Kioni. A party that has benefited 3 cabinet secretaries, if they don't really merit, but they have benefited. So I see him with Kioni there alone. And we are never invited, just like Muturi is saying, I was not properly invited for the Kakamega cabinet meeting. So we are also not properly invited for all this press conference.
But that's a good one. That's a good one. But did you also invite him to your conference?